without Medicaid, we would never be healthy. And for us, it's not even like body, it's all mental. For my husband, for me, and then we have a baby who needs Medicaid for vaccines, who needs Medicaid for, I already have 2 children who are diagnosed with autism. So what if she ends up getting diagnosed with autism? We need Medicaid. We need Medicaid. And if you live in America, everybody deserves free healthcare. That's it. I just love you. Have a good day.
My food stamps went from $4,400 in food stamps every month to $38.
We're tired of standing by as conservatives. We're told to stay silent. We're told to stay down, not voice our views, or else we're going to get attacked.
I'm wondering, when are white people going to start listening to the black community? When are we going to admit that they were right about Trump? They were right during the civil rights era. They were right about abolition. And now we know, now we can see they've been right about Trump all along. They got our attention during the George Floyd protests, but we didn't listen. We were just like fair weather fans. But if we could ever get behind this community, if we could ever draw from their wisdom and their knowledge of what America really is at the cellular level, because they've seen this all along, and there is so much we could learn if we would just humble ourselves and move out of the spotlight just for a moment and let them speak.
My name is Angel. I live in Columbia, Missouri. I woke up watching news and finding out we are going to give Argentina a $20 billion bailout while we can't even have health care in this country, and we're falling apart, and our beautiful fucking orange wannabe god seems to think he needs a Nobel Peace Prize, which I don't understand, because he's tearing our country apart. I'm really not crazy. I really never do this. I am 60 years old, and for the first time in my life, I am scared to death to live in this country. I want to take my family and leave. I can't afford passports, imagine. But anyway, please, if you agree with me, call your senators, protest, do whatever you can. But I don't understand why we are giving another country $20 billion when so many people are on the verge of losing health care, so many rural hospitals are on the verge of closing. When this ACA or whatever they want to call it, Obamacare ends, everybody's premiums are shooting up. Not just the poor people you think are on Obamacare, but everybody's, because the whole system's going to have to absorb this. The system's going to have to absorb people they can't afford it and have to go to the emergency room for treatment, and that's all they can get. So we're going to let our people just lay here and die because they can't get health care, but we're going to bail out other countries? I don't understand. Please, if you agree with me and you think something needs to be done, just call your senators and tell them, please. Thank you for listening to my whiny post.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you watch me from. We've been seeing a couple of emotional breakdowns from some white people and Latinos in America after realizing that Black Americans were right about Mr. Donald Trump, right? And this just shows, this reflects a deeper process of political awakening rather than just a single moment of regret. Because for many Black Americans, skepticism towards Donald Trump did not begin with his presidency, but long time ago, in decades of lived experience with racialized politics, housing discrimination, media demonization, and law and order rhetoric. Trump's rise was immediately recognized to many Black Americans as a familiar pattern, a political figure mobilizing grievance, resentment, and fear, while presenting himself as a strong man outside. What others initially interpreted as disrupted or honesty, Black Americans often recognized as a continuation of historical trends. Brothers and sisters, buckle up for this video. We are going to see people regretting in real time, people showing their remorse as to why they did not listen to Black Americans. Because remember, Black American history is American history. So just what you're going through right now was Black American history in the past. And right now, It is American history. You joining the dots? I hope so. So let's buckle up for this video. I'll be back and then I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. If you're tuning in for the first time, you know, I'm your host and #1 presenter, GDoc Stories. And I want to say thank you for taking your time and tuning in. So let's watch the video. I'll be back and then I'll be giving my thoughts in regards to this. Let's watch the video.
Reason every other video that I see on damn farm talk, you know, the farm side of freaking TikTok, I'm seeing white farmers whining and complaining. Excuse me, my people couldn't even read at one point. So why the hell am I doing less bitching than you? You've been given everything. Imagine being so privileged that you're sitting on stolen land crying, Daddy government, come save me. I can't afford to pay for my stolen land. Damn!
A shout out to our brother. He summed it up just right. He a black farmer doing what he's supposed to do, and he not crying. Now, they've always talked about black people. Oh, you black people, you blacks, the blacks, right? Oh, you always on welfare, and you need to work hard and get off of the system. And the whole time, they the one been the welfare king and queen. They been getting all that money from the government. If they crops go bad, up the government to pay for it. If the crops go good, oh, they still gonna give us more money. They have been getting welfare forever, and Trump and them cutting the welfare off, right?
Right? That's always the scariest part of slipping into authoritarianism, that authoritarianism is somehow more stable. I think luckily for this democracy in what we're seeing right now is Donald Trump does not ever want stability. He wants constant instability. He sees his ability to gain power by creating unstable moments, and it does keep his base united around him. But that instability is why I think voters have basically been very fickle about him, right? They like some of the things he identifies, like even what he said about the UN. I don't know what it's for. Look, I'm frustrated by how the UN works. The idea of the UN is great. Its execution is not good. In some ways it's there, but there are aspects of the UN that work really well. It does a great job of feeding the world. A better job than if we didn't have it, we'd have to create a place to do it. And I know by saying it does a good job, I'll have people coming in. You know, it doesn't do this. I hear you. Okay. But it's better than any other entity that we have. And certainly on global health, the WHO is, if we didn't have it, we'd want it. And the fact that we're, as the United States, trashing it and weakening it is actually weakening it for the entire world. It's creating more instability and more chaos, which, by the way, if the world had a vote, they're voting against this, right? They don't like this instability that the United States has created, right? Tariffs is another way that he has created nothing but instability, especially for small business. If you're a small business owner, even if you make your product or do most of your service, your product is quote unquote American made in some form or another, your supplies are likely still coming from abroad. So, and many folks are finding this out the hard way, right? But the on again, off again tariffs, you can't even budget for it, right? Because you don't know what's on, what's off. Is this country got tariffs of this size today? Well, maybe I ought to try to import from this country. So the lack of certainty, he's upending small business. We all remember this, right? The biggest criticism from the business community during Obamacare was, oh, he's creating instability in the market. And that was, well, I do buy the idea that business doesn't like instability. And Donald Trump has introduced nothing but instability to the financial markets and to the world of consumer products, right? So, and then he's done so this on foreign policy. So the point is that I really believe that this is his biggest vulnerability, and because it's a vulnerability he doesn't know how to address, right? He doesn't know how to preach unity. Look at the Charlie Kirk funeral. You have this incredibly moving and for many people religious moment by Erica Kirk, and then Donald Trump comes up there.
So I'm not really sure how I made it over to the white men crying on video about their finances side of TikTok, but I was over there for a little bit, and at first I was like laughing because it's like FAFO, right? Because like y'all voted for this and now it's affecting you. But then I started to think, like, these are normally the people that and so to see them online in this much disarray where they're on video crying in full tears about their finances and how mad they are, Y'all be safe out here.
What's good? It's your man, Mr. Woke, and I got something to say. They say Rome was a powerful nation or country or whatever the fuck it is. But it destroyed itself, doing too damn much. Instead of saying that, Rome was great until they came up with the dumbass government. The government destroyed Rome. Plain and simple. America. This place could be the fucking place that it's supposed to be, except for government. Government is about to destroy America. 2023 is about to be really bad for America. It's sad, but it's true. It's finna be a reckoning. It's finna be a reckoning. And it ain't gonna be the black people's starting shit. Because we always make it about the poor black. What about the poor white people? You ain't think they fed up with this bullshit? Huh? You don't think that? Well, let me school you. They fed up with it too. They done had just as much done to them as we have. Plain and simple. We seem to overlook the poor whites. We call them white trash and this and that. We should be calling them brothers, because they poor in the same fucking situation that we in. But 2023, they're gonna show their ass. And guess what? I'm gonna be there to back them up. I'm gonna be there, goddamn flags are waving. Goddamn, what you call them? With my sign, my picketing sign and everything. We finna go. I'm gonna be right there with them. That being said, before I end this, I want to remind you that poor white people stormed the Capitol. Poor white people. They stormed the fucking Capitol. So, they don't give a damn about government. Just as much as the next man don't give a damn for government. Now, with that being said, I'm with you 100% when it comes to making shit right. We all got our different forms of what we think is right. But I'm pretty sure if we all come together, it's all going to end up being the same thing. That being said, it's your man, Mr. Smoke. I'm out. Peace.
Hey, good morning to everybody. Daryl P here, aka Artist in Recovery. This morning I was going through the news and I really didn't find anything that grabbed my attention to do a spoken word video for, but I want to share a 100% true story with you guys. And at first it was uplifting. I thought, finally, a crack in this Trump supporter ice. And, well, let me tell you the story. Okay, so I had to get a tune-up in my car yesterday. I went early in the morning, about 9 a.m., dropped my car off, and there's a McDonald's right down the street in the small town next to the city where I live. That's a small town of about 5,000 people. And I went to the McDonald's there. And I sat down, and I was going through my phone, having a hot chocolate. And I actually ended up sitting, a lot of older guys came in, and I realized I was sitting in the old man corner, like where all the older guys gather, like these old, like boomers, I guess you'd call them. So about 5 or 6 older guys gathered around and started sitting and talking. One thing I noticed is I saw these guys walk in with empty McDonald's soda glasses, and I couldn't believe this part. Each one of them went up to the soda machine, like they went on the soda machines on the side where the registers can't, cash registers, the people can't really see them, and they filled up their sodas. So they were actually stealing sodas, but has nothing to do with the story. Okay, so they start talking, and 2 of them end up sitting there longer than the others. And they start engaging me a little bit as I'm listening to their conversation. They're talking about Donald Trump, and they're obviously Trump supporters, or they were. The thing that amazes me is they were bad-mouthing Trump. They don't like him now. This is basically what they said. It was basically his arrogance and his greed that seems to be getting to them. They mentioned Argentina and the $40 billion going there. The treatment of the American farmers. This is stuff that made them angry. The treatment of American farmers. One thing I've been hearing a lot of too is the treatment of U.S. vets. They're upset with the way Trump is treating vets. And I didn't notice that myself lately, but it's something I heard a lot of yesterday. And this was big, the White House, tearing down the White House. They were very upset about that. Okay, so I'm listening to this conversation, but it's still tinged with little MAGA stuff, like, they're still blaming immigrants for stealing health care and stealing this and that and making their lives miserable. So there's still the basic Trump Foundation belief, racist belief in there, but they don't like him. They do not like him at all. And this is the part that I almost choked on my soda when I was listening to them at this point, because this is what they said. Because I was kind of looking amazed when they said this stuff, because I've been saying this for 10 years. And this is what they said. They said, how could we have known? Everybody was fooled by him. Everybody, this is exactly what they said. Everybody loved him. Everybody believed him. He was such a good phony and a liar. He fooled us all. Nobody knew. Nobody could have known. And I almost choked on my effing soda. They haven't, did they just tune out like all the late night hosts, all this stuff on CNN, what half the country has been saying for the last 10 years? And they were serious. They were 100% serious. I don't know if they were trying to absolve themselves of guilt or what, but they were like, how could we have known? He fooled everybody. Nobody, they actually said this. Nobody knew. Nobody knew what a greedy, arrogant piece of shit he was. Unbelievable. All right, now here's where I kind of lost my my hope. They've kind of gone from Trump to Trump light. They don't like Trump, but they started talking about who they do like. They do like little Marco, they called him, Marco Rubio. And they love J.D. Vance. Wouldn't J.D. Vance make a great president? This is exactly what they said. They said that whenever J.D. Vance is on TV, he answers the questions so quickly. He's so smart and so quick. He's right on the ball. He answered. I swear to God, this is what they said. And I'm keeping quiet. I'm like, of course. He was probably on Fox News or on Newsmax. And they tell him ahead of time what they're going to ask. Of course, he's answering the questions easily. He knows what the questions are going to be. So at first I was enthusiastic, but then when I discovered that they're just, they haven't changed their belief system at all. They just realized what a POS Donald Trump is. Why it hits them now after, why it took the White House being torn down to finally make a light bulb go on, I don't know. But hey, I guess late's better than nothing. Late's better than never, I guess. A little too effing late. Have a good Friday.
White people were the first people to be subjugated under white supremacy. If you don't understand history, that won't make sense to you. But Europe was at war for centuries. Why? Because the British and the Spanish elites viewed Nordics, Celtics, and Welsh as savage people who needed to be civilized. Same excuse they have used to subjugate all people, right? In order for European elites to subjugate the rest of the world, they first had to subjugate Europeans. Without the subjugation of the Irish, the Scottish, the Welsh, white supremacy would have been essentially impossible. The system didn't start off as white versus non-white. It started off as Celts versus Saxons, Catholic versus Protestant, peasant versus aristocrat. There has always been an ethnic, religious, and class-based hierarchy inside of white supremacy. As the subjugated grew bigger than the subjugators, then came the creation of white, right? A way to racially pacify an also burdened group, or subjugated group of people. Because initially, the concept of white and black did not exist. They created that concept so that white people would be pacified and side with the elites, so that European people would side with the elites instead of African and indigenous people. Without the concept of whiteness, subjugated would have outruled the subjugators. What did they do? They created this whole class of a right to liberty, right to bear arms, right to pursue freedom of happiness. Also, that white people were ingrained with this ideology that they were a human entitled to something that African and indigenous people were not entitled to. A racial bribe, per se. Without this concept, elites wouldn't have a foot to stand on. Capitalism would be non-existent. White supremacy would be non-existent. It gave white people power under white supremacy over people of color, but ultimately, they too are still subjugated. It's only when white people break from the subjugation of whiteness, right? The mind control that whiteness has on their mind, that is when white supremacy will be destroyed, right? They were the first to be subjugated, right? Who will be the last to be subjugated because they have been the most pacified by the concept. When white people are tired of being subjugated, then white supremacy will fall. Also, don't forget to follow me on YouTube and follow me on here because I love talking about socialization and how it intersects with basically everything and how we are in this predicament that we are.
So all of the pro-Trump farmers are now losing their farms. They don't have any income coming in. They're begging the president to save the farm as if they didn't prioritize white supremacy over their economic status. Time and time again, history shows us that white people rather be superior to minorities, but poor. Once America was industrialized, slavery was not economically beneficial for America, for the South. The South was very behind compared to the North. These people were content with being poor as long as they could be superior than black people, as long as they could be racist. And now we see the same thing happening today. You people voted for racism, and now you're broke.
The reason they want a recession is because when a recession happens, the economy plummets, a bunch of companies go bankrupt, and only the oligarchs have the money left over to buy up everything when it's being sold for a fraction of its actual worth. If the whole economy goes under, only a small group of people are wealthy enough, not only to be okay, but to start buying and accumulating. They take advantage of people's desperation by buying up all these properties that are being liquidated, so that when the economy rebounds, before maybe they own, let's just say 1% of the economy, but then when everything gets cheap, they have less money in an absolute sense, but everything else is dirt cheap. So they buy, and then when the economy goes back up, now they own 2% of the economy. Yeah, recessions are good for people who, have the hunger and who are, willing to buy, and they have the capital. Will this recession affect other countries or just the EU and America? It'll affect the entire world.
Is white people tired of being scammed by people with GoFundMe accounts? Let me explain. Every time black people start a GoFundMe account, white people donate the most money. If they find out it's a scam, like Black Lives Matter, I never hear them asking for their money back. A black lady used her friend kids that she was babysitting and made a video that went viral and said her and her 3 kids is about to get evicted. She set up a GoFundMe and raised $240,000 in one day. Most of that money came from white people, but most white people didn't ask for a dime back when they found out it was a scam. The woman that scammed everybody on GoFundMe, she didn't have no kids. She kept that $240,000 and didn't give a dime to the mother of them children. Some black people is quick to call white people racist, but soon as they fall on hard times and they have to set up a GoFundMe, it's strange. You never see on they GoFundMe no white racist people donate. I wonder why. Let me guess. If you waiting on Pookie, Keisha, or Ray Ray, your GoFundMe will die of starvation. If black people continue with these GoFundMe scams,
white and black people will stop donating. And it will hurt the people that's real victims.
Hey, I've been seeing a lot of shit about, you know, white people tired of niggas saying racist shit. White people tired of, you know, racist shit being brought up. Niggas saying that they racist and shit like that, bro. Even if the nigga is right about you being racist or wrong about you being racist in the situation, how the fuck can you blame that man for thinking a white person is racist? Nigga, it's like you niggas forgot about slavery and how long that shit lasted and how long y'all beat the shit out of us, sold the shit out of us, raped the shit out of us, nigga, cut our hands off, cut our feet off, cut our dicks off, nigga. Man, what the fuck is you speaking on, man? I'll forever slide and ride for my niggas, man, on guard, bro, till I'm gone, man. For real, bro. We just want what's right out here. And yes, we still traumatized, nigga, so yo bitch ass gonna be racist as soon as we get a hit of any type of racism, nigga. Don't give a fuck if your wife is black. Don't give a fuck if your kids is black, nigga. Show me. Type time. That's what niggas is gonna be on. Not saying me, but nigga, I don't give a fuck about none of that, bro. Y'all still racist out here. It's just behind closed doors. Why come as soon as you post something on the internet, the first comment, nigga, gonna be on some racist shit, bro? All the racist shit come out on the internet. And we can agree that these intrusive thoughts and shit like that, it comes out on the internet. Nigga, I'm not walking down the street in this white ass city I'm in. I'm not walking down the street and white folks coming up to me talking about N-word with the ER. They'll get their bitch ass beat up, shot, killed, all that. On the internet, they gonna pop that. They gonna pop that because they can do that. Y'all still out here. And in real life too, I was just saying that out here, I don't run into that. But there's places that I can run into that. You feel me? Just racist ass white folks. You feel me? So, bro, don't ever forget about what the fuck y'all did to us, man. How y'all, man, go do some research, man. Slavery was not that long ago, my nigga. They still finding motherfuckers in motherfuckers' basements and shit like that, man. Wake the fuck up, man. I ain't sparing no white person, nigga. I'm just saying, that nigga's 100. To my white folks out there that know me, y'all already know what's up with me, my nigga. Y'all already know it ain't not one racist bone in my body, man. But I gotta let this shit be known. To my niggas who letting y'all know that they feel like y'all racist, man, give them niggas the benefit of the doubt and shut the fuck up and know that they got a space that they coming from. That's a valid space, if that's making sense, bro. You feel me?
So this is a comment that was left on another comment I made on a video about acid being thrown into pools where black kids were. And first of all, I was amazed on this video how many people had never heard of this. But he said, and I said, you know, why are you so upset about hearing about this? It's history. And he says, because like many white people that are tired of hearing how evil we are, yeah, people in my grandfather's generation did some evil stuff. And I said to him, you know, well, do you not understand the historical context really applies to what's going on in current day? And he said, yeah, because tell me about the whites only pool. Well, that's not it, babe. It's think critically. All right, my dear? So in like the 50s and 60s and 70s, things like this happened not just there. It happened a lot of places. Because of that, what do you think happened? Black kids didn't go to pools. And out of that grew a stereotype that black people can't swim. Why? Because our parents or grandparents' generation were worried about things like this happening. Or even if they weren't worried about things like this happening, the pools in their neighborhoods got closed down. So now a whole stereotype has been created that still persists today about the fact that black people can't swim. And really horrible things have been said about that. About the fact that black people can't swim. Now, I've been able to swim since I was 6 years old. My daughter became a lifeguard when she was 17. So let's already put that aside. But there are initiatives to make sure that black kids can swim because that's part of what is called historical trauma. Now, also, this explains why we get super excited when a black girl comes in first or scores gold in a swimming competition. And people like you say, what's such a big deal? Because a black girl scored a gold or scored high in a swimming competition, even though this that you're so upset that just maybe your grandfather did has persevered through generations. So yeah, it is a big deal. And it is more than white or black only fucking pools and parks. But y'all want to get so upset. What your grandfather did impacts my daughter. Think critically. Learn real history and think critically, and you won't need.
Just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked.
Selena Gomez has been slammed after she filmed herself breaking down in tears while speaking about the deportation of Mexican people.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything.
The 32-year-old actress uploaded a very emotional video to Instagram, but quickly took it down after it didn't sit well with social media users. They were quick to slam her for not using her reported net worth of $1.3 billion to take action herself. After quickly taking down her post, she shared a message that read, "Apparently it's not okay to show empathy for people." Her family immigrated to the US in the 1970s when her aunt crossed the border from Mexico to America, hidden in the back of a truck. Her paternal grandparents, Ricardo and Mary, followed their daughter. And once in the US, they welcomed Selena's father, who is also called Ricardo. Her mother, Mandy Teefee, is also a US citizen. In a personal essay for Time magazine, Selena shared, "But when I read the news headlines or see debates about immigration rage on social media, I feel afraid for those in similar situations. I feel afraid for my country." The Golden Globe nominee noted as a Mexican-American woman that she feels a responsibility to use her platform to be a voice for people who are too afraid to speak. The Rare Beauty founder reminded her followers that fear shouldn't stop us from getting involved and educating ourselves on an issue that affects millions of people in our country. What are your thoughts on her video?
I'm so sorry. I wish I could.
I voted for you to take the other ones, not me. Hijo de puta.
Those are your credentials right there, brother? This is for the Youth Univision program. Those are your credentials? Yeah? Those are legit? Those are real, huh? For the Youth Univision program, there's a couple of us.
Make America great again! Woo!
America great again! Hey, 2024! Trump, you got the Latino vote, Trump. You got the Latino vote here, bro.
Mexicans for Trump!
Salvadorians for Trump! Salvadorians for Trump!
We need a wall. I live close by this area, and we need to live in a safe place. So please, we need Trump back in office. Vote for him. We need to finish this wall. We cannot afford to have more criminals coming into our area.
Since this wall got built, Donald Trump was trying to make America safe. Now the wall's halfway built since Biden got in. It's like they want the criminals to come in. Let's make America great, y'all. Trump Latinos.
¿Cuánto por un elote, maestro? No se crean. You know, Latinos for Trump has always been so interesting to me. Latinos for Trump to me has always been like cockroaches for raid. Honestly, that would be insulting to the cockroaches' intelligence. And I would make this video in Spanish, but I don't think the people that run that page speak Spanish, ironically. But yeah, guys, very interesting. The amount of devotion that some of these Trump supporters have for another man, Trump, it's kind of weird to me. Like, men obsessing about Trump is very interesting to me. I've never obsessed over a man like that in my life. And honestly, I don't even know how people can support somebody like Trump. I mean, it's not like Trump was on Epstein's plane multiple times or went to Epstein's island. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine if that was true? But to be fair, a lot of politicians went to Epstein's island and got on that plane.
Democrats, you better get your they-thems together. You better get your Twinkies, because Latinos are voting for Donald Trump, and we are so smart that we have something to say to y'all. Latinos for Trump know exactly what you guys are doing, that every day the desperation grows within your party. So now, you guys want to say that this comedian should be the end-all, be-all, whether we should vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. And no one knows better than Mexicans for Donald Trump, because we are smart, and we know how low the Democrats can go for our vote.
Someone asked the question, Latinos for Trump, how has it been so far? All of you who stood out and voted against your own interests, what's it for you right now? How happy are you? Yeah, a lot of them are still happy because most of them are happy with the deportation, while some of them are actually not happy anymore because it's not hitting home, it's affecting, them directly, and now they are freaking out on the internet. Okay, and you have some of them who are also very angry with black community because they are not protesting with them to come out and speak up for them and all of that. Well, guys, I've gathered some clips for you guys, which I'm just going to let roll. Then I'll come back with more commentary. But let me know what you all think in the comment section. I really love to read from you. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up so that more people can see it. And credit to all creators on this video. So let's just go watch. Then I'll come back with more commentary.
Did y'all hear about the...
So, historically, Black political analysis in the United States has been shaped by exclusion from power and repeated exposure to broken promises, because Black Americans have long been positioned at the sharp edge of policy consequences. Policing, housing, voting rights, healthcare, and labor. They tend to evaluate leaders less by rhetoric and more by impact. Trump's language on race, immigration, protest, and crime activated memories of earlier eras when coded or explicit hostility translated into real harm. While some white and Latino voters viewed Trump as a protest against elite or economic stagnation, many Black Americans saw a figure whose politics depended on dividing the public along racial lines and cultural lines at the same time, brothers and sisters. So this is what was happening, and he knew what he was doing. And now, Black Americans saw him for who he is and for who he was, and they decided to make the right decisions. And they tried to warn you all to please don't make that mistake. But you went ahead and made the mistake, right? So here you are. You're living with the consequences. Among Latino communities, the reckoning has its own complexity. Latinos are not a monolith, and early support for Trump among some segments was driven by religious conservatism, anti-socialist fears, or aspiration towards whiteness. Within racial hierarchy. However, Trump's immigration policies, family separation, mass deportations rhetoric, and framing of immigrants as criminals eventually clarified that proximity to whiteness did not guarantee protection. For many, the realization that Black Americans' warning were grounded in structural analysis, not exaggerated, produced as a sense of betrayal and grief at the same time, right? So the phrase "Black Americans were right" is less about predicting. It's less about predicting Trump as an individual and more about understanding the system that produced and sustained him. Remember, Black political thought has long emphasized that racism in America is not accidental. Racism in America is structural, it's functional, because it mobilizes voters, redistributes resources upwards, and deflects anger away from economic elites. Trump did not invent these dynamics. He amplified them openly. When white and Latino Americans confront this reality, the emotional weight comes from recognizing that what was dismissed as cynicism or grievance was actually historical literacy. Right? So this moment also exposes the uneven burden of political foresight. Black Americans have been expected to warn, to explain, to absorb consequences while being ignored or labeled divisive. When those warnings are later validated, there is no triumph, only exhaustion. The tears of realization from others, all these reflect guilt not only about Trump, but about years of dismissing Black voices, analysis, and lived experiences as overly pessimistic or biased, right? So, at the psychological level, like psychologically, these breakdowns are tied to moral injury. People who believed they were acting reasonably or even progressively must confront the fact that their choices, their silence, or benefit of doubt contributed to harm. This realization destabilizes personal identity, especially for those who see themselves as fair-minded or justice-oriented. And now, accepting that Black Americans were correct requires for them to accept that racism operates even when one does not intend to, and that intention is not the same as impact. Right. And importantly, this recognition does not automatically translate into solidarity or change. There is a risk that emotional responses becomes performative, always focused on personal guilt rather than structural accountability. Remember that Black critique of Trump were never only about his personality. They were about courts. They were about policies, enforcement agencies, economic priorities, and long-term consequences. So, without engaging those deeper issues, tears become a release rather than a reckoning. And ultimately, you understand that this moment illustrates the recurring pattern in American history. Marginalized communities diagnose crisis early because they live with the consequences first. The breakdown occurs when others finally experience enough disruption to see what was always visible from the margins. The lesson is not Black American possess special foresight, but the exclusion procedure produces clarity, right? The exclusion produces clarity. Listening earlier will not only prevent disillusionment, it might have prevented the damage all along. So brothers and sisters, please let me know what you think and feel about this video. I'm your host and praise anti-Genic stories. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.